I gotta start this video off with a confession. I've never been into fighting games that much. Obviously, I like beating the shit out of my little brother in Tekken as much as the next guy, but that's about it. That's why I was a bit hesitant when I stumbled upon Bushido Blade for the first time. I had the impression that this game is just the usual arcade fighting, but with blades this time. Oh god, I was so wrong. When you launch this game for the first time, you're greeted with a quite simplistic intro, but I actually like this a lot. Honestly, I don't really understand what's going on, because I don't really speak Japanese, but my guess is that the game introduces the playable characters in the creepiest way possible. I mean, I have a feeling that this guy is in the sex offender database. After this, you have quite a few options. Start a story mode, a versus mode, a training mode, a slash mode, or a POV mode. Since I'm an experienced gamer myself, I immediately jumped into the story. I mean, who needs a training, right? That shit is for babies. Then you can choose a character to play the story with. Some of them has some names that I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. I just made up my own nicknames for them. So we have the red waifu, we have Tatsumi, who has an interesting taste in clothes. We have the purple waifu, we have the black lotus, who looks like a budget Zoro or something. We have Utsuyami, I just call him the green Power Ranger guy. And lastly, we have Sub-Zero. I have a physical copy of this game, and the manual says some interesting facts about each character. Like, did you know that the Black Lotus is a 36-year-old guy from Ireland? Has anyone seen a 36-year-old Irish guy who looks like this? Anyways, I naturally selected Sub-Zero, or Kanuki. Then on the next screen you can select your weapon. There's quite a huge variety here. These include some traditional weapons, like the katana, the nodachi, and the sledgehammer? What the fuck? That seems a bit unfair to me, but I might be wrong. I chose the nodachi because it's a bit longer than the katana, but still not too heavy or too long. It felt like a nice balance. And with that, the story was on. The plot is actually pretty simple. There is a kind of secret society called Kage, or Shadow in English, who resides in a dojo. This group is led by Hanzaki, who is an older, more skilled swordsman. Everything was nice and dandy until Hanzaki discovered a cursed blade called Yugiri. After that, he started disregarding the group's honor and traditions. And obviously not everyone liked this. One day, a member of the Kage tries to escape the dojo. The escaping member is whomever the player chose to play with. So there is a different ending for each character, which I think is pretty nice. Hanzaki orders the other dojo members to stop the fugitive. And yeah, that's about it. This is where we jump in. After this short exposition, I was put into a battle immediately. This is where I started to have the feeling that Bushido Blade might not be your usual arcade fighting game. No health bars? No time limit? What is going on? On my first fight, I was up against the red waifu. I was trying to figure out the controls when I accidentally killed her. One slash to the face and she's dead. What was that? Did I win? That's it? That's the game? Is it that easy? These were the thoughts in my head. My next opponent, the green Power Ranger guy with a sledgehammer. I had a feeling that I was screwed. And I was right. Turns out that winning my first match was just pure luck. And I died to the green guy over and over and over again. I realized that I had to do something and actually learn how to play this game. Admitting my defeat, I quit and went straight to the training mode. I figured there must be some kind of tutorial that shows me the basics. Nope, I was wrong. You launch the training mode and you're put to battle immediately. It's the same as the other mode, except you can just die infinitely. No hints, no guides. Well, if the game is not going to help me, then I will go old school and read the manual. This is when it hit me. This game is fucking complex. Multiple stances, center of gravity, jumping, combos, stance breaking, sub-weapons, blinding, free running. Holy crap. I had a lot to learn. I spent some time learning the basic mechanics and trying to chain better and better combos in the tutorial mode. I felt quite confident after a while. I won't spoil everything for you, but here are the key things that I learned in a nutshell. This game uses a body damage system instead of a health bar. This might sound a bit complicated at first, well, let me explain. I have a better idea. I'm gonna explain this using my professional artistic skills. Let's say this is the arena. Let's add some trees so it looks a bit nicer. We have the two enemies, guy on the left with a huge ass sword and guy on the right with a huge ass sword. Let's start off with the most simple scenario. You hit your enemy's head or body with a clean cut. They are dead. Like, there is no argument there. They're just dead. The second scenario is that you hit a limb. This might not look serious at first, but after a limb has taken enough damage, it will be blacked out and the character cannot use it anymore. So in case of the legs, this means you will have to crawl or stand on one knee. For the hands, this means you will need to hold the sword with one hand, which is obviously a disadvantage. A few other things I've learned. Each weapon has 3 stances: upper, middle and lower. This influences the power and speed of your hits, the combos you can make, which hits you can deflect, and your agility. So against slower, heavier weapons, you probably want to use a lower stance, which will make you faster, but obviously you will have to experiment with these during the fight. In addition, every character has a sub-weapon. Well, almost everyone, except for this guy, but don't ask me why. I mean, he's only 16. What is he doing here anyway? These can be like knives, fans, you know, throwable stuff. This can be used to distract your enemies. You can also throw sand to blind them. I love this so much. This is such a rat move. Throw sand into their eyes and just ambush them. Well, you can probably already tell I'm not the guy playing by the rules that much. And the last thing I learned, you can run. Like, you can run wherever you want. You can run out of the arena, find a new arena. There are no limits. When I realized this, I just started running blindly, and I basically ran through the whole map. Different arenas, different scenery. It's crazy. I've never seen something like this before. With all this knowledge, I went back and started another story mode, but this time with my middle-aged Irish friend, aka Black Lotus. I was doing well. I beat the purple waifu, red waifu, green guy, and even Sub-Zero. I gotta say, Black Lotus has the most badass speeches in the whole game. I don't want to kill women? Well, you just did. Then my character jumped down into a well where I had to beat Tatsumi. He whipped my ass a few times, but I managed to kill him in the end during his intro speech. Yeah. I felt bad. After the usual bad guy speech, I received the following screen, and I was thrown back into the main menu. What the hell was that? I had no clue. So I restarted the story mode with the red waifu this time. Beat purple waifu, Zoro, Tatsumi, Sub-Zero, and finally the green guy in the sewers. Then again, same black screen, and the game is over. Seems like I was still missing something. Back to reading the manual. This is when I realized there is a section that I've missed entirely. Alright, okay, it's true. I might have been fighting a little bit on the shadier side, like stabbing people in the back or smashing their face in during the intro speech. Right, I needed to change. I needed fair play this time. I started again, and this time I was fighting squeaky clean. I was basically Mr. Clean this time, except that I wasn't bald. Turns out that the game is super punishing in terms of clean fights, so make sure to pay attention to that. Anyway, beat everyone including the red waifu in the well, and I was nervous. Did I do everything correctly, or is it gonna be the same black screen again? No, it wasn't. It was on. And the next enemy was an assassin with a gun. You heard me, a gun. Just to recap, this game wants you to play super fair, then sends an enemy who uses a ranged weapon? Are you kidding me? Anyway, this was easier than what it looked like. It took me a few tries to understand that running is key here. Just run around until he shoots his shot, then stab him. Job done. The next fight is quite memorable, especially because of the arena. You are on a beach at sunset, it's beautiful, I just loved it. The enemy is a huge difficulty bump from the previous ones. He has a twin blade straight out of Elden Ring or something, and he's very good at deflecting. It took me quite a lot of tries, I'm not gonna lie, but I managed to get him in the end. And this actually felt like a huge victory. Next up is a samurai lady whose favorite hobby is spinning in T-pose. Compared to your previous opponent, she's super easy to beat. I was actually surprised. Your last opponent is the dojo leader himself, Hanzaki. He wields the cursed blade and looks kinda old, but don't let that fool you. He's a tough enemy for sure. But of course, he went down eventually, just like the others. Quite literally, I know this wasn't too Bushido of me, but it's the last enemy, who cares? After killing him, Purple Waifu realizes that it wasn't the corrupted blade that was manipulating him, it was someone, and that's it, roll credits. This ending was not too satisfying for me, to say the least. So I did some research. Apparently, there's another ending for each character. In that ending, you can actually fight a secret enemy after Hanzaki. All you need to do is don't kill any of your peers. Do you remember when I was talking about running? That's what you need to do. Go through the map by free running, then jump down the well without hurting anyone. Easy. How did people figure this out? I have no idea. I spent a few hours trying to find an alternate ending, but I would have never thought of this, to be honest. I am not going to spoil this ending for you, because I actually want you to play this game. But let me tell you, the true endings are actually pretty decent, and you will have answers for your questions. Don't worry. So, all this said, what is my opinion about the game? I feel like Bushido Blade is the definition of a hidden gem. We have a huge ocean of these arcade fighting games and they are all very similar. But Bushido Blade is something else. Something that I didn't even expect when I started playing. Squaresoft and Lightweight did something in 1997 that was definitely ahead of its time. And trust me, I just don't throw this phrase around usually. They try to break out from the limitations of these arcade games and do something groundbreaking. Well, let me say it, it worked. Even though this game is quite niche and probably never been super popular, it's definitely nice to see developers trying to do something different. It's a fun little game to play that can keep you entertained for a day or an afternoon if you can get a hang of it. So I would say give it a try, especially if you're into Japanese culture and samurais and stuff like that. And if you do, please do a playthrough with each character so you can see all the endings. It's worth it. Oh yeah, and the soundtrack is amazing, trust me. Thanks for watching, bye.